Most men are working hard to build a better life for themselves. Obviously, they focus around their family, around their career, whether they have a business or not. Finances are important too, right? And what is the future that they are looking to create on some level with retiring? Now, here is the question: are you building a life you will actually be healthy enough to enjoy? And today I'm joined by Tim Delaney. He is the host of Business Buying for Financial Independence, where he teaches people how buying an existing business can create more control, more income, and more freedom than trying to start something from scratch. And I personally have started lots of things from scratch, and it's a lot of work. So I'm interested in Tim's perspective here, and you should be too. He bought a wine and liquor store back in 2013, built it from something that needed him every single day in the business to now only needing a few hours a week. And he uses the rest of his time, freedom, and financial abilities to build real estate portfolio, other types of investments, and investing in his own health. And that's why I brought him on to talk about that connection between business and health and how it can relate to you, and most importantly, listening in. So certainly he has his own health story, and we'll dive into that. He's tipped the scales up and down, and he's finally found a clear path for him to be able to maintain a healthy body weight and not have to struggle with the ups and downs of that. So we'll talk about his story as well. And now, if you're a guy over 40 listening in, success and health have to be constructed together so you can create the freedom and you don't lose your health along the way. And I see that so many times. Tim, I'm so glad to have you here on Driven for Health. And before we get started, I want you to share what is one key takeaway that you want our audience, our guys listening in, to leave with.
Thanks for having me, Brian. I think one of the biggest things that I think about with owning your own business, and what I hear a lot of other people talk about, is how stressful it can be, how much work it can be, and how challenging it can be. And it doesn't leave you a lot of time for yourself, especially when we're, in your case and your audience's case, talking about health. And I think that's kind of the opposite take. I believe that owning your own business, doing it right, particularly if you buy an existing business, can give you the freedom of time to take care of yourself and your family and your life, live the life you want at a much easier pace. And that's kind of like one of the key tenets of my buy box framework. When people talk about looking to invest in a business, to buy a business, if you're going out and looking for one, you need to create a buy box. Like, what are you actually looking for? And so I broke it down into an acronym called buy box. And that first letter, B, stands for build your ideal life. Think about what your ideal life looks like, build it out, structure it out so that you know what kind of business is going to fit into that life. Don't buy a business or start a business and then figure out how your life fits in around it.
So right. And let's start with some of that here real quick before we go into some of the other even better parts about the actual business side and all. What back in 2013 was the shifting point for you to actually want to buy in? And even before that, tell us a little bit about yourself, the family life, the kids, the travel, all these important details so that these guys listening in know that we're just guys trying to be successful and provide for our families and do fun things too.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm going to go back to college, 2001, 2. I was all set to be a stockbroker. Went to college to become a stockbroker. Wanted to be, just that stocks interested me in high school. Went to college. Somewhere along junior year, 2001, I had a realization that I had no interest in sitting in an office on Wall Street for 60 to 80 hours a week. It all of a sudden didn't appeal to me anymore. So I had no idea what I was going to do at that point. Business school colleagues are all getting internships, and like one of my roommates was applying to the Peace Corps, and I said, you know what? That sounds good. Give me a couple of years to figure things out.
Right.
So I did that. I applied to the Peace Corps. I got accepted. I served in the country of Guyana down in South America for 3 years. I met what is now my wife, Sasha.
That's
You know,
awesome.
lived and worked down there.
So it was a very good
You know,
choice, huh?
it was a great choice. You know, things always, you know, it's like I said, you know, I say often things happen for a reason, and they did. So
That's
we
awesome.
we moved. The two of us moved to Ethiopia after my service was done. I took a job over there. I was working for an international development organization. We were kind of industrializing the country of Ethiopia, helping the economy, helping people come out of poverty through helping the
Yeah.
economy,
There
creating
you go.
business.
Yep.
You know, that's a driver. Business is the real economic driver, and it provides jobs, it provides money. So we did that for a while. We moved back to Buffalo in 2010. Born and raised Buffalo, New York. We wanted to be closer to family.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. That's wanted to be able to watch football games again. Not
Yeah, I'm
at two
over here
o'clock
in
in the morning.
Cleveland area. So we got the Browns.
Yeah,
So
it's
I digress on them. Yeah. Beautiful. Yep. And but I do not follow them. That I feel is self-punishment.
yep. That's yeah. So we when I moved back, I was still working for my employer. You know, back then remote work
Okay.
wasn't nearly as common, but I was able to finagle a contract with them to work remotely. And at the same time, I was trying to start a business. I was trying to import handmade leather iPad sleeves. The iPad
Okay.
had just come out. I was like, I've got these leather
Right.
connections in Ethiopia. I'll make these cool, cheap leather sleeves. That just didn't take off the way I hoped it would. And
Sure.
the iPad changed dimensions, and it was a whole thing. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah. As we know now, what, 17 efforts of the iPhone
yep,
itself, then
yep,
there's this constant changing, tweaking, adjusting,
yep,
and your design would always have to change, all this stuff. Yeah.
yep.
A lot.
It was a losing battle, and you know, apparently the big shots at Apple didn't think they needed to consult me every time they wanted to change the dimensions, so
Right.
I was stuck. But around that time, a business opportunity fell in my lap to buy an existing business, and I had had no interest prior to that.
Sure.
But I took a look at the financials on this business. I had some conversations with bankers. You know, it's like getting my reps in, like
Right.
trying this thing. And it's like, actually, this kind of makes sense. The business is there. It has certain customers. It has employees. It has some processes.
Right.
I can get a loan to cover 90% of the purchase price. I only need to come up with a little cash, and then I get a paycheck day one too. It's not starting from scratch. I mean, you've done the scratch
Right.
thing. Like you
Yeah.
never know when you can start paying yourself comfortably. Like
Right.
you got to
Right.
constantly reinvest in more
Yes.
marketing and more systems and more
Branding and
software.
marketing. And
Yep,
that's where this
exactly.
podcast exists. We're
Yep.
116 episodes in here.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And that, you know, so that one didn't work out, but it sent me down a rabbit hole of
Yeah.
okay, this is a thing. I'm gonna go look.
Yeah.
And so I started searching heavily, looking
Okay.
at all different kinds of businesses until I ended up with the wine and liquor store.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
And you're still there.
I am
So
still
it's
there.
fruitful.
Yeah. So it was a great business. You know, and so here's like just the breakdown on the top level numbers. They were asking $350,000 for the business, which you know, that's less than a median price home in the United States right now.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I haven't yet to meet a personal home that kicks off as much cash flow as my liquor store does. So it's you know,
Yeah.
I came up with $35,000, was just about everything I had to my name at that point. I didn't
Right.
even own a house yet. We had a 1-year-old daughter, not even one, at home, and I went all in on it. You know, the bank gave me a
Yeah.
loan for like 85%. The sellers gave me a loan for another 10%. So I had extra cash in the bank at closing. And it was a lot of work at first, but
Yeah.
it was well worth it, especially for that. You know, I made all the cash that I put in, I got that and more back in the first year alone. So
Yeah. Excellent.
then the rest was just, you know, paying down the loan and slowly working up to generate more and more profits.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, that is a good investment, and we'll certainly go through the buy box and some of the other things. But why buy a business? And I think the general takeaway is, like I introduced you, is that what comes as the result of your fruit of thy labor to have wealth to have a ownership in something so that you then can reap the benefits of thy work. So what's been some of the changes, especially like on the health front, because that's one of the big reasons why we connected in the first place of
Yep.
you have time and energy and money to be able to spend to take care of yourself, but even more importantly, do fun things too, like travel.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's where the idea of ownership gives me freedom. So I'm not, yes, I'm beholden to the business. Yes, there's calls here and there at different times, and certain days I have to do certain things. But for the most part, I create my own schedule. I
Yep.
can work when I want to work. I have now I've built it to the systems where I can get up in the morning and go to the gym for a couple hours and still be home in time to spend some time with my kids before they go to school,
Right.
and then I can start working. And I work from home a
Right.
lot now too. A lot of the stuff, the way I set up the systems with the wine and liquor
Right.
store is I can do more remote work, so I don't have to sit in the car for an hour and 20 minutes a day, a round trip going to the
Right.
store. That's where you see in the last 5-6 years, a lot of people have been working remote. So they're saying, "Oh, I do that anyway. I've got the corporate job. I work from home, and I'm good." But we know that more and more businesses are calling people back to the office. They're kind of
Yes.
over the work from home thing, and
Right.
so and that time in the car is a health killer too.
Very much
That's
so.
sedentary time. It's stressful time, and I think there's been I don't know the statistics, but I know there's stats out there about divorce rates and abuse rates and all, like, stress rates and heart attack rates, like the longer your commute is,
Right.
especially
Right.
when you're driving. And
And
so,
rush hour.
yep, exactly.
And
We live in smaller cities. Rush hour is not like killer
right.
around here, but
Right. Still, if you
it's
all of a
still
sudden you
something.
realize you're not getting home for another 20 or even 30 minutes, not like an hour, but it's
Yep,
still unnerves you. It creates
yep,
some stress. And oftentimes when I talk to some of these busy guys, we have to factor in their transportation and the allotted time that they actually have in the day, because it's literally a hard time of what they're doing, why they're doing, and in their day-to-day life. So it has to be built in. Or even yesterday, a guy I brought into the call to rise, he travels Monday through Friday for his family business. He's out about 1 to 3 hours away from his house all week long in an Airbnb or a hotel. So we had to talk about how he can facilitate making his food and meals and taking time to exercise. And then on the weekends, he's home. And this is a whole context of how do we make sure that he has time appropriate to be able to spend toward it. Now, what are some of your health journey? Because that was really intriguing. How you did a lot of business, and we're going to get to the buy box here in a little bit. But the health, why did health become so important to you in the last couple of years here?
Yeah, it's always been important to me. I've always, I grew up getting teased in middle school for being fat, and it was just kind of always
Yeah, it
there.
sucks.
I was
Right.
always, yeah, it sure does. I, middle school is a rough thing for anybody, but if
Yeah.
you're overweight, forget about it. I feel bad for anybody going through it or having kids going through it.
And you have 3 kids that are right
Two,
in that
yep,
age.
yep.
And I got,
They're all in
yeah,
middle school.
and I've got 2 in high school, 2 in middle school. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's literally
yeah.
feeling that.
It's rough. And so, I would say, I played football in high school for a couple of years. We would lift weights, but then after
Sure.
that, I never really lifted too much. I started doing a lot of cardio after, during college. After college, I shouldn't say a lot during college, but during the Peace Corps, I didn't do a lot either because it was just tough. There weren't gyms. It was so hot in Guyana that if you didn't get a run in before the sun came up, forget about it. It was just miserable. So
Right.
didn't care that much, wasn't too interested, but started caring more after that. And I started doing a lot of cardio, go to the gym a few days a week for most of, from then on, like 2007 ish on. And, but I never really, my weight would go up and down here and there, never really connected it in my mind. I was exercising a lot, so I could eat what I wanted and drink what I wanted. And
Yeah.
I had given up soda and pop, like whatever you want to call it, years before as well. Like I knew that was empty calories, but it's just still I don't know. I did a lot of exercise, but never really permanently lost weight. In Even after, 2012, my father passed away unexpectedly at 57 years old from a heart attack, and that
Yeah.
just made me double down on cardio even more. That's what you kind of
Right.
hear
Heart
in the
health. Yeah.
general life is cardio is good for the heart, and
Yep.
so I did more of that. And it wasn't until a couple years ago, I'd been up and down. I'd been as high as 220 at points in my life, and mostly when I was working an office job in Ethiopia. And I had gotten down to 180 here and there very briefly, and then it would pop right back up to 200. So a couple years ago, I read a book called Outlive and realized that I was not eating enough protein and not lifting weights enough.
Right. Right.
So I started lifting some weights more, but even at that, like I bought some of those Bowflex dumbbells
Oh
that
yeah. Yeah.
adjustable
The
weights.
multi-select. Yeah.
Because at
They're
that
great.
point I hadn't been going to the gym in years because of the timing. I was thinking the
Yeah.
time. I don't want to drive. I can work out in my house. I had an elliptical. I had like some CrossFit videos, and
Yep.
so I would do that stuff. And so then I got the weights, and I'm like, okay, I got 50-pound dumbbells. I'm lifting weights.
Yep.
And then I joined a fitness challenge with some like friends and friends of friends, and the metrics of the challenge where it was a 6 month program because it's meant to impact. It was a lifelong. The idea is that
Right.
after 6 months, hopefully everything's a habit enough. But
Yep.
it was we have to walk at least 10,000 steps a day on average, so
Yep.
78,000 for the week. So if you miss a day, you can make it up. You have to lift weights at least 3 times a week, and you have to eat your body weight in grams of protein every day.
Yep.
Which, the first couple weeks of doing that alone, I was stuffed. Like, unfortunately, your body adjusts to it, and then you get hungry again for other stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's feeling that changed things. I dropped the first year, so I did 2 rounds of that right away.
Okay.
In the first year,
Nice.
dropped over 25 pounds and close to 30 pounds, I guess, by the end of the second round, and went from like 27-28% body fat down to 15-16% body fat, which is amazing. You felt
Right.
great. You feel different. You feel when you feel that good, it was a different feeling of being more motivated to keep it off permanently.
Totally. It has to be a lifestyle, no matter what. And there's countless different episodes throughout this podcast that you can listen in. Episode 5 starts the nutrition pyramid. Episode 17 starts the strength pyramid. And there's countless testimonials of guys that are doing the work, regardless of how busy or not busy they are and whatever else is going on, and have been able to do simple things like that. I call it the core 4. We have the movement, the nutrition, the sleep, and the hydration, and those are the basic concepts of what gets you moving in the right direction. And it's really awesome that you're able to get into something that created that consistent behavior that then ended up getting you into a healthy body. And this is something that you do now on a daily basis because you have time, you have energy, and you can now fit it in. But even then, earlier on, it's still important to be able to fit it in. Now let's tie in how the discipline of business and discipline of taking your health to care of yourself tie in. And for you, we've got the buy box, which I love. Just even the very first step is let's create a lifestyle, not something that enslaves you into working all hours of the day endlessly and in quotations business in a sense.
Yeah. And the buy box is meant to help people that are on the path to buy a business in identifying what kind of business is going to be the right fit for them. And so that's why that first step, the B, is to build out your ideal life. Like, talk about what you want to do. I had a guy in my mastermind that was getting close to putting in an offer on 2 donut shops, and it was a good deal. Like, it was good money. And he's a very healthy, fit guy too. It wasn't just so he didn't have the same fear that I would have buying
Oh,
Delaney
right.
chips.
right,
I
right.
would,
You eat the product.
would end up getting high on my own supply and blowing up to 500 pounds. But
Right.
he was more
That's
disciplined
good.
than me, so he wasn't worried about that part. But as we talked more and more about it in my mastermind, he realized that he doesn't like getting up in the mornings. He likes his mornings to be slower, to have time to
Right.
work out, to do what he wants to do. And
It
he's
would
like, hey,
not
you know
be
what?
the right business then.
Donut shops are rolling at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like that's your
Uh-huh.
prime time. So
Yep.
he ended up not going through with that, and kind of we talked about refocusing his energy on, if you wanted to be in that dessert type space, frozen yogurt shops. So now you don't have to be there in the morning. Start your
Right.
day at lunchtime. You roll into the evening, and you're still out of there at a reasonable hour.
Right.
They're not mostly catering to young kids. You're not going to be out there till 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's where the build your ideal life can help. Um, and then the next letter is U, is kind of understanding your limitations. Whether those are personal, whether it's you don't like to drive, whether it's financial, like whatever your limitations are, and what you can do, and what you like. More importantly, what you cannot do. If you're not a good salesperson, a people person, don't get into a business that's going to require you to be a door-to-door salesman.
Right.
So that's
Right.
the next step, is understanding those limitations. Y is for your role. So BUY, by your role. What is your role going to be? Are you going to be the CEO? Are you going to be the president? Are you going to be the marketer? Like, are you going to have somebody else do
Right.
operations and you're going to be the marketer, or
Right.
vice versa? Are you going to be operations? So just defining exactly what you want your role to be in a
Right.
business.
Because you
You
don't
want to
want to
do
play
everything.
all the roles.
Yep. Yeah.
That's exhaustion. That's burnout. That's
Yep.
building not a business, but yeah, I totally getting stuck to have to do way too much things.
Yep. So, and then we get into the box part, buy box. The B is for budget. So what is your budget? What do your
Right.
finances look like?
Right.
I generally tell people, don't not look at an opportunity just because the price tag seems high.
Right.
Even if you
And
think
you
you
can
can't
see that in
afford it.
some of your episodes
Yep.
of you talking through people that were able to facilitate a deal without having to leverage their house, all their net worth on this deal, which would not be financially smart.
Yep. Exactly. And there's I don't necessarily like say it's the best thing in the world, but there are opportunities to get 100% financing on businesses. So your budget, you should have a budget in mind. Should have a budget of what kind of cash you feel comfortable putting in, but don't let the price tag scare you away if it's not directly in your budget.
Right.
And then O is for opt out. So what are the industries or types of businesses that you want nothing to do with? For me, bars,
Right.
restaurants, like I have no interest. Donuts, candy. I would love to. There's a chocolate factory that's been for sale here in Buffalo for a while. I would love it. Awesome building that comes with it. I I
Right.
know that I can't do it. It would
Right.
break
Right.
my
I
health
love
this year.
breweries. I
Yep.
would love to say own one, but I would drink the product and get fat,
Yep.
and I'd have to
Yep.
run every day 10 miles just to
Yes.
maintain my figure.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like with the wine and liquor store, there's closed bottles, so there's not it's
Right.
not as easy to
It's not
just go
open flow. Yeah.
go take a sip.
Hit the
But
tap.
yeah,
Right.
but even with that, with alcohol, it's a little bit easier to control because it's physically impacting you when you're doing it. When you're with, like, for me, with
Yes.
candy, chocolate especially, like if it's
Right.
there, it's going in my mouth, and there's no immediate
Yeah.
effects. It's
Right. Right.
and then the X is for execute. So get out there, talk to people, talk to brokers,
Right.
share with them what your whole buy box looks like, and
Right.
what your vision is, because there might be opportunities out there that you don't necessarily see listed on these websites that
Right.
brokers have. So the more people
Sure.
you get out there and talk to, the better.
Right. There's always deals available on the back end. Easiest thing off the top of my head is buying a house. A lot of
Yeah.
houses can just go from one realtor to another because the network,
Yeah.
and that's really important to be able to
Yeah.
manage that.
Exactly. Exactly. And so that's the buy box. It's it's just meant to be a kind of a loose framework for
Yeah,
helping
it's a great
you
one.
narrow in what kind of business that you should buy.
Yeah, that is an excellent framework actually, and it makes total sense with what you're doing. Now, to help some of these guys listening in that have an interest in maybe not working for themselves or redefining what their career looks like or taking on new opportunities to leverage investments, what's one success story off the top of your head that you just like, oh yeah, this guy came in, he did the buy box, he this is the fruit of his labor, and now things are working out, because they don't always work out too, but that is a one reason why you find a mentor, find a coach, find someone to help guide you in this process. Same with thing with all of this can easily correlate with taking care of your body, your health, fitness, nutrition, and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's no different. I tell people, I have a fitness coach as well that I hired before I met you, obviously. But it's like having that human accountability.
Yep.
For a little bit, I was trying to use ChatGPT to get my fitness program, and I was
Right.
getting good. I was good about logging my weights, like what I was lifting for the day, and doing all that. But just knowing that another human is going to look at my log now makes me push a little bit harder and throw that extra 5 pounds on, or get that
Right.
one more rep in, or whatever it is, in a healthy way. I'm not trying to kill myself, but
Right.
that motivation, that little, and he's not going to yell at me. He's not going to like call me
Right.
out or call me a wimp for
Yeah.
not
What?
doing it. But it's like knowing that somebody else is going to look at it makes you push a little bit harder, and
Yep.
it's good for you. And it's the same thing with business and with anything in life. Like, so that's why I started the mastermind, to help people that are looking to buy businesses, so that we can help each other. You get into a group of people that you're
Right.
sharing your wins and your losses for the week, and what you've done, and how many brokers you've called, and what deals you've looked at. And okay, now you got a deal. What am I missing? What am I not seeing?
Right.
Where do I have my blinders on because I fell in love with something that I need to
I'm sure that
open up my
happens too.
eyes? It does. It does all the time. So that's really where that comes from. And this is all very new. So the buy box is something I created a couple months ago. I have not had anybody go all the way through that has told
Okay.
me, hey, I did this and I bought this business and now it's already running great, because that would be way too short of a timeline.
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, business takes a little bit to
Right.
buy. But
Acquire and
yeah,
then take over
finance
and
and
get
yeah,
systems
yep.
and yeah.
But I do have a number of people that have, like myself, have successfully purchased and are operating a business. I tell a lot of those stories, or I have them tell their stories on
Of
my
course.
podcast as well. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that accountability, like you said, that comparison to fitness is huge.
Right.
I think and it goes for everything in life. Like, just
Yep.
um, having other humans that you can share your accountability with and share your goals with is super important.
Yeah, definitely. That's the main point of the Call to Rise 100-day Fat Loss Challenge is come in. We're going to spend the next 100 days with other like-minded guys that have families, that have careers, responsibilities, businesses, what have you. And they're not taking care of themselves, and they need support and accountability to do it, not in some weird bad diet way or whatever they thought they could do when they were 20 or any of that nonsense, because those aren't the things that are going to apply to their direct lifestyle right now. And having the support, guidance, and accountability is so important to execute, because you can over information all day and that analysis paralysis and procrastination and all this stuff, but you have to execute on the directive of taking care of yourself or of buying a business and looking at all the opportunities that it has in place.
Yep. Yeah, that execution piece is kind of the most important part. I mean,
Oh,
one,
always.
one of my friends that has a real estate podcast says all the time, like, everybody has the knowledge of how to go get a six pack, but if you don't act on it, you're never going to have one. It doesn't matter how many
Exactly.
books you read about health or real estate or business or whatever it is. If you can have all the knowledge in the world, And in theory, we all do know already. Like we all know how to be healthy. Just eat less, exercise more, or eat
In
right.
general. Yep.
Not less, but
Yep, yep.
yeah, it's
In general,
pretty
eat less
pretty simple
calories.
formula. Yep. Yep.
Right, 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 right. Now, what are some of your bigger plans that you have for yourself moving forward? Having acquired the knowledge, the implementation, and now just continue to grow. How does understanding how buying a business, how it has impacted your future?
Yeah. So that's the reason that I called the podcast "Business Buying for Financial Independence" is I've paid attention to the financial independence, personal finance space for a while as well, and one of the a couple of the things that I hear people talk about in that world in the fire community, if your audience is familiar, is that financial independence, retire early. They hammer working hard in and off, in your good corporate job, saving as much as you possibly
Right.
can, putting it into index funds and letting that grow into millions of dollars. It works. No
It
knock
does.
against it. But
Nope. It's one
it works
pathway.
if you have time. And some people
Yep.
can do it faster if they have better income and really get
Right.
frugal with their expenses. I don't want to be super frugal. I mean, I have been, and I will continue to be in certain areas of my life, but I want to travel. I want to take my kids to
Yep.
Europe. I want to go to South America.
Yep.
It's so I want my financial independence now.
Yes.
Reasonable time.
I think we both
2013.
agree on that.
Yeah,
We were just in Peru
nice.
in April, and we're going to an Alaskan cruise here in within the next month or so, and then
Awesome.
we're going to go over to Ireland for Thanksgiving with our kids in tow, so that we share them the world. And this is one place of abundance that my wife and I have agreed upon, and it serves so much in terms of giving back to the quality of my experience in this world for sure. And so that. So yeah, you have to spend in certain places. So keep going.
Yeah, and that's so the other area that the fire movement talks about is real estate. Or some people do is like, okay, go buy a bunch of houses or apartments, and the cash flow, will I be able to let you leave your job? And when I did the math on that, and I own real estate, I like there is no consistent income coming from my real estate. It varies up and down. We had an air conditioner go the other day, $4,500. Like that's more than the cash flow for the year off of that apartment. So
right.
It's a great avenue for long-term wealth building. It's given me a great backstop, but it's not going to get you out of your job tomorrow. And then that, along with side hustles in general, just end up making you work more. And
right.
If you think you're going to replace your corporate job income with a side hustle, you're going to put in a lot of effort, a lot of time, and that's that's not good for your health journey. If you got to go try to spend some time in the gym, or just taxing your body, overtired. I'm sure you tell your audience how important sleep is as well. Like,
of course,
it's so if you got a side hustle or you're doing real estate on the side of your day job, it's going to be a lot, and it's going to be hard to replace your income.
One of my best friends that works out in my barn here, Chris is his name. He come over and work out, and he was talking about he owns a small business that has 11 employees. They're doing really well in general. They do security and IT work in residential and commercial homes. So think of the easiest way to explain is like they'll come over and install your Ring camera in a sense, but on a much higher level. But that's the easiest way to explain one part of the business. So he's got all these things going on, and then he's trying to do this side thing with real estate, but with flipping a house with two other guys. And we were just talking about it. I said, dude, you're ponying up 20, 30K, waiting months for this thing to turn into something. If it does, and you probably could make more in your business if you just focus that money, energy, and effort into that. And so he ultimately stopped. He did about 3 or 4, and then we had the conversation, and it just didn't make sense anymore as a passive way of doing income, because it wasn't passive. He had to manage it on some level quite a bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if you can do it in a completely passive way, it's one thing, but
Yeah,
A lot
we
of times
both
you
know
can't.
there's not
Yeah.
much
Yep.
passivity in
Yep.
income without an excessive amount of experience and skill,
Yes.
usually, right?
Yep.
And
Exactly.
time. So those
Yep.
three things have to boil into actually creating passive wealth
Yep.
for you and income.
Yep. Yeah. And so that's where I came down to the idea of trying to spread the word about buying a business
Right.
instead. So you can oftentimes get in for 10% down. It's not going to be, if you're working a decent corporate job anyway, you ideally have some savings of some sorts, even if it's in retirement accounts. There are ways to use that
Right.
to buy a business for yourself without penalties and taxes.
That's what I did. I
It's
borrowed against myself for my
Yeah,
very first business and I paid myself back.
there you go. Either
Yep.
borrowing against it, or there's actually ways to completely pull it out if some of it if you need it, but borrowing it against it is even better. And you can get out, buy an existing business that has a track record. It's never foolproof, it's never a guarantee, but
Right.
it's got a good track record. You come in and run it, you can pay yourself a paycheck for running it the first day that you get there. So
Right.
because you've seen the numbers, the cash is going to be
Right.
there. And usually in the first year of a new ownership, the business goes up in revenue anyway because there's fresh blood, fresh ideas, fresh,
Right.
you know,
New energy
energy,
into
energy. Yeah.
the
Yep.
old existing
Yep.
customer base, and they feel it.
Yep. They 100% feel it. And it's just a couple phone calls. Like it's a couple things that the owners usually, when people are selling a business, they've been there for 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years.
Yep,
They're
it's been
tired. They're,
complacency on
they're,
some level.
yep. They're living a good life. They don't need to go find new things and new
Right.
ways to make money. And so a new owner comes in, you got that opportunity, boost revenue a little bit at first, no major changes, just boost it a little bit. And then
Right.
as you go, you start implementing some other ideas, you really ramp it up. You get it
Right.
to a point where you can be complacent for a little while if you want, and
Right.
then sell it in another 20 years and live off the cash flow in the meantime and pay down that debt so that you have an asset worth something that's generating income for you on a regular basis. Not
Yep.
passive, but
Right.
with less effort
With
than your
proper
corporate job.
systems and understanding your key performance indicators and the day-to-day things that need done, you can leverage it quite a bit from your first year in of. You mentioned on our pre-call was you lost a bunch of weight because you're moving boxes
Yes.
and working in the store every day.
Yep. Yeah. 20 pounds in the first year because I was there by myself 9 to 5 most days, dealing with sales reps, taking care of customers, restocking shelves. So back and forth to the
Right.
back, carrying on my feet all day.
Yep.
It's just a testament to the power of movement.
Yes.
Sometimes that's all. It wasn't like I wasn't consciously trying to lose weight. It was just
Right.
a thing that happened. So
Right.
yeah, yeah, it's good.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Now, what's one of the biggest things that you're looking forward to in terms of, say, the business itself, your baby?
Yeah,
What are your plans for that business? Are you looking to sell at some point? Are you going to just hold and grow and allow it to do its thing?
yeah. I like the idea of holding. It's a
Yeah.
Warren Buffett type mentality. Buy
Buy and hold.
buy right and hold. I do flip a couple houses a year, but most of my real estate I hold. I want to hold the business.
Yeah.
We're always looking for improvements. We're working on a wine program right now. We have a great following for bourbon lovers. We
Oh,
buy
yes.
a lot of
Do you get the
single barrels.
line up on the special release and everyone comes ready to wait for a couple
we don't do the lines.
Okay.
Yeah, Ohio is all government run, so they do it different. But we're
Yeah. Okay.
we have a system for doing it, but
Okay.
we do a lot of single barrels. So we're actually heading down to Kentucky next week. We'll visit 4 different distilleries. We'll buy at least 1 barrel from each distillery that's just uniquely our product. So when bourbon's aging, every single barrel tastes a little bit different because the wood imparts different flavors. And so we go down, we'll taste 3, 4 barrels, and they'll all be different. and we will, if there's one that we really like that stands out, we'll buy that entire barrel. They bottle it up just for our store, and those bottles get shipped up to our store. We sell them to our customers, and it's
Right.
one done.
One
Once
time.
that's
Yep.
gone, you never get that exact same flavor again. So
Right. Right.
so we do that. We just released our first private label where we worked with a company to develop our own unique product. So that just hit our shelves, and we'll probably do more of that. It's
Yep.
gives us a little bit with the
Right.
same products every day.
Right.
That's
Right. Right.
It's been our focus for that store, and we're just trying to stay with the times, pivot. A lot of ready to drink canned cocktail stuff going on now.
Yeah, sure.
Seltzers. But yeah, and then in my other business with the podcast, what I'm really looking to do is speak more to audiences that I feel like should hear this message about buying businesses,
Right.
and also how buying businesses is so important for our communities. I've seen a couple,
Yeah.
yeah. So that
Quite a bit.
We know. I mean, as a business owner in general, and we all know that small businesses really drive our local communities. We
Yes.
keep the cash recycling within our communities.
Right.
We're the ones donating to the churches and the fire halls and the schools
Yep.
locally. We're providing jobs for people, and we're not, I have a couple moms and a couple people that have been taking care of elderly relatives that we can be flexible with. We're not some corporate giant where it's like, nope, this is your shift, you better be here from this minute to this minute, otherwise you're
Right.
gone. It's
Right.
like, oh, your mom needs to go to the doctor's appointment tomorrow unexpectedly. Okay, we'll figure it out. The rest of us will make
Right.
it work.
Right.
Your kid's homesick from school, no worries, we'll figure it out. Kids got
Right.
invited to a baseball tournament in Ohio, no worries. So
Yeah.
that kind of
That
thing
gives
is
back
important.
on multiple different levels
Yeah.
of just getting an income from it, but
Yep.
you help other people in real life
Yes.
situations because
Yep.
that's the everyday. And the more kids you have, the more responsibility you have, the more people in your social circle, those things are going to come up just
Yep.
because that's life. And
Yeah.
and you can't have this hard set 9 to 5 type thing and be able to do that for your employees and coworkers and stuff is
Yep.
super helpful and giving in a sense. So as long as it's not abused, of course.
Yep, exactly. And that's so I want to be out in front of more audiences talking to people about why these small businesses, why it's important that other people in the community are buying these local businesses, because
Right.
otherwise they just close their doors. I've seen it too many times, and they just lock the doors and leave and be, we're done, out of business. We want to retire. Nobody wants it. And then
Right.
also on the other side of that, there's a lot more private equity going on, and they're coming in and buying these businesses, which is fine. At least it keeps the jobs somewhat there, but they're profit centered. They'll cut people
Yep.
if they need. And then those profits are going somewhere else. They're not staying local in the community. So,
Right.
so I'm building this platform of the podcast, speaking opportunities, and the mastermind to help people buy the businesses in hopes of building a bigger movement to help people that have small businesses sell them to caring people that want to continue the community engagement that they've built.
Yeah. That's excellent because we need small business with big players like Amazon is a huge one, obviously, that they are just changing the landscape of business in general and how we do retail and a lot of other things, even service in a sense. So it does impact a lot of everyday people. And there's someone in your circle, if you're listening in, that is running a small business that is being impacted on these mega corporations and such. And we have to find a way to, again, keep the money in the community and not just ship it out because of just Amazon in a sense. Amazon's great, but also we need to not just let them take all profit and monopolize everything, because that won't work for us.
No,
we will lose.
Yeah. The end game's not great if they're doing everything.
Right. Exactly. Excellent. Well, in closing up, let's talk about some of the places people can find you.
Yeah. So my podcast is the best place to find me. Business Buying for Financial Independence. I go more in depth on that buy box in episode 46 of the show.
Okay.
So definitely check
46.
that out. Yep. And it's anywhere you get podcasts.
Right.
I'm super active on Threads at Tim T. Delaney, which is where you can kind of find me anywhere. Tim T. Delaney is my handle.
Okay.
Yeah, those are really the best way is just listen to the podcast. All the other links are
definitely. And that's the best part about being on a podcast when you have podcasts. People listening in that want to listen and find out more can. Yeah. So that stuff will obviously be in the show notes. And if the idea of buying a business was of some interest, this is a topic that I have not had on the conversation here with Driven for Health, and I want to bring in a lot of subject matter people into this podcast as well. I'm doing a lot of the health, nutrition, fitness, lifestyle stuff, but then it has to go somewhere. We have to get the healthy body, but then you have to do something with it. And today's guest, Tim, is just an avenue to explore another different way to leverage better health. And how can you then create financial freedom with your health freedom to then have a life that's worth living and exciting and talk about and all that. So check out Tim, his podcast, and his business, Buy Box. And if it's right for you, I'd love for you to jump on over there and listen in. I've heard some of his podcasts, and the stories are excellent. Great conversations about the process of finding deals and looking into how do we get to actually acquiring a business and such. So it's excellent content to be able to listen into. Thanks, Tim, so much for being on the show. And any guy listening in, if you need some help with the fitness side, the health side, the nutrition side, the lifestyle, then obviously that's what we do with the 100-day fat loss. Or you could even jump on to a health hot seat and get life coached during an episode. And you'll walk away with a very clear blueprint on what to do, how to do it, and make progress. Even Dominic, the last guy that I had on a couple episodes, I believe it was 105, I keep in touch with him, and he's doing really well. So it's awesome that people actually do something, which is what we talked about today with Tim. Execute. Yep. So execute.
Speaking of doing something, Brian, I just like to share with your listeners,
please,
if they're still listening, take 2 seconds and leave Brian a 5-star review and a rating.
Thank you.
Us podcasters need those, and
yes, we
Brian's doing an awesome job. So make sure you give him some love and give him that.
Yeah, exactly. It is the easiest way to give back is to like, subscribe, follow, and leave a review. And that does wonders to be more engaged and more followed and do better, do more good, right? I think that's what you do with your podcast too and everything. Like literally, I want to help grow small businesses to do more good in the communities that we live in so that we all prosper and, again, don't ship money out from underneath us. So, all right, Tim, thanks so much for your time today. Thanks everyone listening in. Off we go.
Thank you, Brian.